Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Hey there, hi there, ho there. This is Ralph Hayes Jr., RH Jr., Reality Check, coming to you live over the internet through a series of tubes forming the boob tube we call YouTube, bringing you yet another form of information to clutter up the information highway. A little thing I like to call Spleen Squeezins. Are you excited? I know I'm excited. All right, how y'all doing? I'm under quarantine. Of course, everybody's under quarantine. I've always been under quarantine. I've technically saw a meme today that said day 400 of my personal self-isolation. Running low on toilet paper. May have to do a grocery run soon. In other news, it seems there's a quarantine for something called the coronavirus. Well, that's my life. I've been a shut-in for approximately 2 to 3 years now because of my physical condition. I can get out, but let's face it, all technical purposes, I'm a shut-in. I can't, no vehicle. Can't fit in a van. Can't fit in a taxi cab. And the only way I leave this lot is in an emergency vehicle. So, yay! Good for me. Got some. Oh, hate this music. All right. Got some. Finally managed to get the slideshow working on my what's-a-majigger again. If it didn't work with the what's-a-majigger, huh? Hi, YouTuber 1752, YouTuber 1752. I was sitting here today thinking, I really haven't run a show in a while. I really need to do doing these shows is basically, it's a metronome for me, basically speaking. You're not doing crap. You're not doing crap. You're not doing crap. You're not doing crap. Ding. I'll do the show, and maybe I'll draw something. And But I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, I can't run the show this early. Everybody's at work. And I was sitting here, and I sat here until about noon, and I realized, oh yeah, quarantine. Everybody is at home. Ha! You're trapped here with me. Ah! Okay. Got some new backgrounds here. There's, animated little thingy-maboppies to run. It's supposed to be running a bigger selection of files, but it's not doing it right. As usual, there's always some sort of problem, but it's better than just one unchanging one, I suppose. Having trouble controlling it. I just can't control myself. It's running through 3 or 4 animated GIFs instead of going through the entire animated GIF file, and that's going to bug the hell out of me in the entire show. Animated background. I try and run Plane 9, but it seems to clog up the internet somehow. There, blank space. I got a blank space, baby. I got a blank space, baby. I feel so old. I'm 49. I turned 49 the 18th. 49, that age where you're not quite old enough to be called old. At least you're not 50 yet. It's like being 29 perpetually. When I was younger, the big 3-0 was the big change, But I got so tired. I'm old, and I'm feeling like crap all this time, and not in the best of health. And I'd have people tell me, "How old?" Oh, I'm like, oh, old age is catching up with me, and I'm like, how old are you? I'm 38. I'm 40. I'm 42. I'm 45. Oh, you're just a baby yet. Well, thank you for that little ray of sunshine in my life. It's nice to know I have something to look forward to. Okay, should I do it with the header or without the header? With the header or without the header? I think to leave the header off. Because that way some of the images are at least showing. Let's try randomizing the playback, see if that changes anything. Okay, that seemed to work. It seemed to kick something over. It's like, holy crap, I'm supposed to change these images one time to time? Okay, uh-oh. Now it's going to loop back and forth between two images. What the hell is... OBS is free software. You get what you pay for. And when you get free software, that's the problem. You can't go to anybody and say, I want a refund, I want satisfaction. I want this project. I want this product to actually work. It's not working. And now it's stuck in these two images for no particular reason. Typical. Okay, well, let's see. Oh, you sent me a happy birthday. Well, thank you. We have a limited number of greetings in the English vocabulary. It's like, I sent you a happy birthday. Yeah, and you're supposed to, you too. I don't know. You have to live through the same day as I do. I hope my birthday's happy for you too. So there you go. So there. How many times are you gonna enjoy your movie? Oh, thanks. You too. Okay, this is already irritating me. Okay. Okay, no more image. Okay, that's it. I'll start up plane 9 and let it run. Can't be worse than this. There we go. Just, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just flipping back and forth between the buttons. Ooh, spirography. Nothing is sequenced. Nothing is coming out. I see this image and I'm talking about it, and it's already gone past, and you're all wondering what the hell is he talking about? I don't know. We'll just go with plane 9. Heck with heck with anything else. Try and do it my way. I did it my way, and it doesn't work. But okay. Look, my parents, God bless them. They stop by. They were going out and doing the mandatory gotta get old people stuff. That's mean, but they just to the grocery store and the pharmacy and all that, and the mandatory survival thing. You need to remain. Everybody needs to remain in quarantine, and nobody ever thinks about the fact that everybody has to still have to go to the grocery store, do or die, and the pharmacy is do or die. So the very people who are supposed to be most protected by the quarantines are the ones that are having to move around. Why? Because pharmacies don't do delivery. I can get a pizza delivered to my door, and the guy will come up, knock on the door, leave it on the doorstep, stand down to the bottom of the steps, with his face covered, unclean, unclean, just for this quarantine. But if I want some penicillin or something, I got to go hang around the office of Dr. Fester with about 20 other people, get a prescription, and then go and hang out the malaria pharmacy, and then go home. You can't. There's no way around it. Why? Because some government officer, decided he was going to take care of us, and protect us all, and keep us from being, and made all these laws about how prescription medicines were to be distributed. You want to know why something sucks? Look for where the politician is involved. No matter how much you tell yourself the anarchists are nuts, after a while of dealing with the government, you're sitting there going, could we at least give it a try? Anyway, my parents, they whipped through town, grabbed everything, tried not to breathe too deep. They stopped by and dropped off a box of. They managed to nail Walmart in the rare, in between panic shopping waves, and they managed to nail some toilet paper. They bagged me some toilet paper. They got me some. I think they got some jumbo rolls out of the. I seriously think they got some jumbo rolls out of the stocks of the church. The church my dad used to pass. He's semi-retired now, but the church actually has it's a church and school building all in one. Big building with even as it was set up to be a church and school. I don't know what they're doing with the school end of things these days, but they got tons of supplies, and they drop off a bag, and it's got like 3 of those jumbo rolls of toilet paper that you normally see in the dispensers at public schools. Yeah, they dropped off 3 of those, and they also dropped off a couple of rolls of Bounty chopped in half. They also, but while they were on their way out here to drop that off with me, they stopped in a Walmart. Holy crap! There's toilet paper in stock, and they got me they also got me a 9-pack of Angel Soft toilet paper. My tushy is so happy. So I'm covered for at least between with those rolls of paper. I am covered for at least. I figure I go through a roll of toilet paper in about a week. Slow metabolism, and that's a nice way of saying he doesn't poop often. But I was down to my last roll of paper yesterday, and now I'm back up again. I've got that's 9 rolls of paper is at least a month or 2 for me. So just me, but with all that with what I've got between that the Bounty rolls and the box of napkins I bought the other day. Chinette napkins, yeah. And fancy for wiping the pantsy, But I'm set for a while. So, the panic is over for me. I don't understand these people. I still don't understand. It's been going on too long. It's going on too long. I could understand the first 2 or 3 days, people panicking, going out, buying these huge boxes of 24 rolls. I wouldn't mind having one of those 24 rolls myself, just buy it just on a regular year, buy 24 rolls and be set for at least 7 or 8 months. And that's if I poop myself inside out. But these people are going out again and again and again and again, buying toilet paper, buying hand sanitizer. Have you people heard of soap? I know it's not as convenient as just rubbing this gel on your hands every 5 minutes. There are people out there that have bought enough. I'm not just talking about the guys that are wanting to resell it. They're going to be, even if, the grabby crats and the gimme crats don't steal everything from them. They're still going to be disappointed because they're not going to be able to. Once they start selling that stuff, there's no way they're going to sell it all and make as huge a profit as they thought they were. Because even by then, people are just going to be like, the panic's going to be over by the time they manage to sell the stuff. So, they might make a little profit, but they're not going to break the bank. But these people that are just buying and buying and buying and buying toilet paper, I want to scream. I want to rip my hair out. I want to weep. Are they really that stupid? Unless every day is a poo-nami for them, there's no way they're going to use all this stuff. They're too panicky and scared to share it with their neighbors. They're not going to sell it. They're not going to be. What are they doing? They're buying all this hand gel. They bought enough hand gel that they could empty it out in a vat and dip themselves in it every morning, full body. Actually, I'm wondering if they're going to take all the toilet paper and all the hand gel and just dump it in a big tub and mix it up into a stiff, into a nice thick paste, and then spackle it on their houses like a layer of a blade of armor. Smear a little bit on the kids on their way out the front door. Here you go, kids. Dip the family pen in. It's the attack of the plaster of Paris people. I'm waiting for Halloween, man. I'm waiting for Halloween, man. Dude, my uncle's got 3,000 rolls of this shit, This place is going to look like the inside of Mr. Whipple's nightmare. I just want to weep for the sake of the species. We've got to be smart as this. Now, they're telling me what they think is the cause of all this. The reason everybody's hoarding toilet paper is because one news reporter stood in a store and was doing a report, doing the live report. See, it's not enough for them to, sit in their desks and be a talking head. They have to go out in public, stand in front of a camera, and be on the scene. So this guy goes out. He's doing a report on possible shortages due to the quarantine and the virus and all that. And he happens to be standing in front of a display of toilet paper in the store. And apparently everybody with an IQ below that of a hamster was watching TV at that time, saw it, and said, he's talking about shortage and he's standing in front of toilet paper. We're gonna have no more toilet paper. And, got in their Tard mobiles and and demolition derby their way to the front door of the nearest moron mart and strip the place of anything to wipe your butt with. And they're still doing it. That's what's driving me crazy. They're still doing it. I shouldn't be surprised. I remember now during Y2K, when Y2K happened. Look, I'm a logical enough person. I could realize, even if nothing is wrong, even if nothing is wrong with the computers of the world, and when the Y2K problem, has either fixed or never existed, people are jittery, and it's quite possible we could have problems due to people panicking and no other reason. So maybe I ought to be prepared for a crisis regardless. So I had what little money I had. I bought up a lot of canned goods and stuff. Not a lot, I was living in a little one room apartment. I bought up some jugged up some water. Bought odds and all the things I figured I'd need. I probably forgot forgot a dozen different things. I even went ahead and got hold of I had inherited a firearm from my grandfather, and my dad had been my parents had been holding on to it at their place for me, and I asked them to drop it off for me because I wanted a firearm just in case things got hairball. I just made quiet little preparations just in case, and I've always tried to do that. I've always tried to do that. To the limits of my limited intellect and ability. I've tried to. I've always tried to keep at least a couple of weeks worth of food stocked up on the shelves. Like grains and flour and pasta and canned meat and canned beans and canned veggies and soup and and cooking stuff and odds and ends like that. And I probably need to pay more attention to the personal hygiene things like soap and there was one stretch where we had this huge box. I don't know who donated it to the church, but we had this huge box of Jergens bar soap. And I mean, it was it was like 3 feet on a side. It was almost a literal ton of soap, and we used that for everything. At one point, we were so tight for money, we ground it up in the food processor to use as laundry detergent. Didn't work so well, but at least it got the clothes sort of clean, But anyway, after Y2K was over, and a week later, I went back to, everything had been calm, and I went back to Walmart about a week later, a week into January of 2001, a week into 2000 anyway, and there was this lady, a little old lady, with a shopping cart full of bottles of Aunt Jemima's pancake syrup. I mean, the whole cart was full. And she was trying to get a refund from the Walmart guy. But I didn't know about any of them. They weren't allowed to give refunds on food for a couple, some sort of reason. And they weren't allowed to give her. She didn't have a receipt for one thing. That was what it was. And I'm like, why on earth would anybody buy? I bought this all because of Y2K. Think about that. The first thing that crossed her mind was to spend what had to be a couple $100 on pancake syrup. I want to take the educators of our nation and just drag them out in the street and beat them to death for how badly they have failed our people. I'm sorry. One of the things that our schools are supposed to be preparing us to be free, independent, self-reliant, and intelligent citizens. No, it's regardless of what the founders of the system wanted. The public education system is supposed to be at least making us functional adults. And people are coming out of our education system and they have no idea how to do anything. They don't, it's become a thing here in the 2020s. People taking classes in what they jokingly call adulting. How to balance a checkbook, how to sew a button, how to, things like that. Things that parents used to teach to their kids, and that schools claim that they would teach to their students. No, that was home economics. Everybody was supposed to get home economics. Everybody was supposed to get an education and frankly, an education in everything. And they failed. The kids are coming out of the school. They don't know how to balance a checkbook or fill out a job application or quote, sew a button. They don't know how to think their way through preparing for a crisis. They're so dumb they can't figure out that they're going to need more than toilet paper and pancake syrup to get through the apocalypse. Well, not dumb, ignorant, untaught. But by golly, the mitochondrion is the powerhouse of the cell, as the meme goes. We've got an entire generation of people, the 2020s, the Zoomers, they're being called now, who are the millennials, the Zoomers, the Gen Xers. We all know that we were gypped. We know that we were told we were being prepared to be adults, and we weren't. We know that we were told that if we went to college, we would our futures and everything would be secure. They're not. We did, and they're not. We were lied to. We were scammed into getting into millions and millions and millions of dollars of debt. And they took advantage of our ignorance, and now they're trying to blame it on us. They're trying to blame our failure on everybody but the people who were supposed to be preparing us. Them. I've got a real case of up yours boomer right now. Oh, they hate that. They hate that okay boomer thing. Oh, they absolutely hate it. Just, because they don't like being, they don't like anybody suggesting to them, hey, you are not in sync with the mainstream like you think you are. In fact, you are no longer the center of the universe in our culture anymore. And you're not the all, despite, being in your 60s, your 70s, and your 80s, you're not venerated as the all-knowing fonts of wisdom you thought you'd become. Oh, how well did the food processor work after grinding up the soap? Oh, it worked great. This was an old 1980s, 1990s model of food processor. That whole thing was a beast. Great. Turn it on, it sounded like the end of the world coming. It couldn't quite puree a brick, but it came close. It wasn't like one of these little skinny juicer blenders. You weren't whipping up frappes in this thing. It was a full food processor. It was made to chunk raw vegetables. You stuff a whole potato in there. It was one of those. It's a frightening sucker, in fact. I think my mom still has the darn thing. Don't know for sure. I'm a little sad about it. We bought over the years. We bought her so many. I bought her a bread maker. I wanted one for myself, but I got it for her instead. And she admitted to me a while back that she doesn't even use it anymore. Once in a blue moon, she'll maybe make some biscuits, but that's about it. Some rolls. I'm like, I would have been all over the thing like white on rice. I would have had loaves of bread in a row stashed away in my food larder of doomsday, and but no. Oh well. Bought her a food dehydrator too. She doesn't use that either. I reached a point where I'm completely out of ideas what to get them because they're not going to use them anymore. Everything you thought you knew about them when you were younger, it doesn't apply anymore. This is why everybody buys like gift cards now. When they have money. Oh man, everything's going toes up thanks to this quarantine. The comic book industry is basically just dead. Nobody was buying nobody was buying the new comics. They were buying back issues, and we're talking like 10-year-old, 20-year-old, 30-year-old. They're not buying the new comics, so the comics industry is dying, and the comic book stores are dying. And then they came in with this quarantine, and straw that broke the camel's back. A lot of these comic book stores I've been told they're shutting down and they're not opening again. Because the comic book industry, just like the movie industry, the comic book industry and the movie industry, they got into the habit of telling people what they needed to be watching, rather than making stuff that people wanted to watch. And what a surprise! They were already on the ropes, and then this Kung Flu virus hits, and everybody's staying at home. They're shriveling up like a raisin in the sun. Oh my! What more can be said? After a certain point, you reach a place where you're repeating yourself. I've been watching this. There's this one channel. It's called Clownfish TV. It's by the co-stars Clownfish and Geeky Sparkles. Married couple, from what I understand. They were both involved in the comic book industry, and making their way, and because they weren't far left enough, they got shunted, deplatformed and everything else, and professionals people that they had helped out, ostracized them and shunned them. They got a little Schadenfreude going on right now. We helped you. We helped you out when you were struggling in the industry, and then you turned on us, and now you're now you're screwed, and now you're calling back to us for help. Sit on and spin. There's one guy saying, he said he's looking at how the industry is collapsing, how the entertainment industry, the media industry is collapsing. They were prospering for so long, and then they got arrogant and decided they were going to stop making what people wanted and start telling people what they thought they needed to hear. And And anybody who wasn't woke enough got deplatformed or ostracized or disconnected or unfriended and just basically shunned until they shriveled up and died. As one guy is saying, is that just try and remember the same people who were set on your destruction a month ago are going to be coming to you begging for help now. Don't forget who and what they are before you let them climb up on your back again. A little reference to the Aesop's fable of the toad and the scorpion. Scorpion begs a frog to carry it out of a flooding off of a flooding little island, and the frog does, and the scorpion swears, if I killed you, you'd, if I won't sting you. If I stung you, you'd die, and then I'd drown. And the frog's persuaded. The frog starts carrying him halfway across the river. The scorpion stings him. The frog's like, "What are you doing?" And the scorpion goes, "You knew what I was when I got on your back." That's cruel. That sounds cruel and brutal, but it's also a truism. Uh, these people that took over the entertainment industry, they were set upon our destruction. They hated Western civilization. They hated America. They hated democracy. They hated capitalism. They hated the open marketplace, because in an open marketplace they couldn't control things, and they couldn't force people to buy what they told them to. They hated conservatism. They hated Christianity, and they were too busy slurping up to every leftist, anti-American, anti-Christian, anti-Western civilization creed they could find, and trying to spoon feed it to the rest of us. They had set themselves. They thought that the organizations they had parasitized on were never going to run out of money. Surprise! They're out of money, and now they're sinking. They got people out there. They're running campaigns. Save the comics industry. They're running crowdfunding campaigns to try and keep these various failed comic book writers, just leftist shills and social justice snowflakes left and right, and their comics are failing, and they're going up, and now they're running they're running crowdfunding campaigns begging for help. And I'm like the guy said, these people were set on your destruction a month ago, and now they're begging you for help. Nobody's going to be able to stop you from helping them if you're foolish enough to do so, but you're only going to be able to count yourself responsible at this point. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah, they don't. What you said. They want everybody to live in a little rental and work 9 to 5, servicing their debts. Yeah, basically, this is why they don't like the idea of people owning stuff. When you own something, buying a house right now is pretty much a sucker's bet, because the prices are still crazy, and you're not going to. You're not people back in the 50s and 60s, the boomer generation. They bought houses because the house was an investment. because as time went by, the value of the land and the house and everything else was going up, 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 up. And foolishly, everybody believed it was going to go on forever. But what goes up must come down. And then we had the crash, and surprise, you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of houses, entire neighborhoods of houses, suburbs, prefabbed, and nobody can buy them. And the people owning them refused to come down in price. They don't, it used to be when you bought a video game, for instance, you bought the cartridge, you took it home, the cartridge was yours. Or you bought the DVD, you took it home, it was yours. Nowadays, you just not know, and they're sending it up that everything, there was another guy talking about this, everything is being turned from a product to a service. Video games as a service, television as a service, housing as a service. They're trying to do that with the Tesla, the Tesla cars. If you sell your Tesla, the Tesla remotely shuts down huge swaths of the computer programming in the car's onboard computer. Because if you buy a used Tesla, you didn't pay for that, which is outrageous. Because I'm sorry, if I buy a used car, I buy everything from bumper to bumper, right down to the chewing gum you stuck under the seat. They're trying to move everything over to a quote unquote service model, where you don't own anything you pay for. You just rent it from some higher power. And if they don't like you for any reason, they can deplatform you. Imagine a system where you go out, you don't own a car anymore, you just own a card, and there are cars parked everywhere. You just zoop, and you drive it to wherever you're going. You rent it, basically, or like they like to do with bicycles now in some towns, and the rent-a-bike service, and you don't own a TV set anymore. You don't own a DVD or a VHS tape of a movie. You borrow it off the computer, download it, and watch it. But if they decide they're mad at you, hey, you can't get a car. Hey, you can't get a video. You can't put up your videos on YouTube. You can't watch YouTube. And because they've changed things so that they own everything material and only loan you the service, you wouldn't be able to do anything. That's the world they're shooting for. The guy that was writing about this says leftists all seem to have this thing where they hate authority, and and there's all socialists, so they all hate. They supposedly hate rent seekers. People who own stuff and just make money off of the fact that they own it. They hate alleged rent seekers, and but they all envision a world where we borrow everything that we need to survive from some singular, they hate rent seekers, they hate landlords, they just want they don't hate landlords, they want everything to be under one single landlord who controls everything. We can just hope to God that this upheaval that we're going through right now will shake some of that nonsense loose. kind of hard to rely on controlling people through rental services when you can't even deliver to the front door without, quarantine efforts. Thankfully, this coronavirus, they're calling some people are just calling this the boomer ending, the boomer ender virus. That's cold. It's real cold. But sad to say, it's probably true. It's a tragic state of affairs that, I noted this before, in the past, the only way we got Ted Kennedy out of office, the only way we got that bundle of larceny and unconstitutional criminality out of office, the only way we got him out of office was him dying. And we had other politicians, Strom Thurmond, and who else was it? A couple of them were actually outright members of the Klan. And they'd been in office longer than most of the people who were voting for them were alive. And nothing was dislodging them. It took the Grim Reaper to pull them down off their throne. And now and this is, these are the cruel, brutal, ugly, unpleasant facts, but the boomer generation pretty much screwed up this country. And they have dominated our culture and our society and have controlled our society's narrative for over 50 years, for almost 60 years. And despite their grandparents now, their great grandparents now, and they're rapidly rushing towards being great grandparents, and they refuse to accept either responsibility for the world that they've created, or recognize that they are not the center upon which the rest of society revolves. You don't think so? You won't find a boomer. You'll find boomers every place that complain about welfare and about all these government handouts. Suggest to them that Social Security should be stopped. Boom. You say you're being awful hard on the boomers. Well, let's see. They were the boomer generation. In their time, they introduced whether you want to blame it on their parents or on them directly. This is what we got out of the This is basically what all the things we got out of the 1960s. One, fiat currency. That's a doom bell. It's all by itself. Two, the fiasco with the Vietnam War. They for all the talk about it, they brag about how they stopped the Vietnam War. They didn't. They just lost it. And they've been doing the same thing ever since then, trying to relive their glory days. Every time this country has had an urgent strategic or military necessity ahead of it, they've been out there, basically betraying the country. Three, the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement was a grand accomplishment, but the problem was that they took it and let the dogs off the leash. It's one thing to demand that the government hold everybody equal before the law. It's one thing to demand your right to vote as an American citizen. It's one thing to demand that you should have equal access to government-provided public services. It's another thing entirely to demand that you have the right to force other people to serve you against their will. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the sandwich. You're talking about the sandwich counters, right? Yeah, and all the other businesses that were first. There were sandwich counters. They had signs up that said, "No color. We do not serve colored people here." That's terrible. Yeah, it was. We've got to stop. No, you don't. Free will is more important than that. If somebody has a sandwich shop and they put up a sign that says they don't want to serve this, that, or the other group, that is their God-given right. A freedom of association, it's called. It's the right to work with anybody you want to, or not work with them as you choose. It's the right to refrain from engaging in economic intercourse with somebody. And you don't, and you do not have to have a reason. You should not need a reason. You do not need a reason to justify why you do or do not want to serve somebody a sandwich at your sandwich counter. You have the right. You should have the absolute ironclad right to say "get out" to anybody. That's what a free society looks like. Yeah, but they're being racist assholes. Yeah, well, great. Now imagine. Now let's walk through it. Let's walk through it. What happens if they're just throwing people out and being they're being assholes about it. They're being racist a-holes. Okay. One. No black people buy sandwiches at this store, so they are literally doing themselves out of profit. What's more, those people that they've shunned and turned away will go and shop at another sandwich shop. The other guy, who is not a dick, will prosper. The sandwich shop owner who is a dick will not. It's the beautiful circle of life. Karma incarnate. Here's your Age of Aquarius right there. Well, he ought to be run out of business. No, he shouldn't. Why? A free society is where people's opinions that you don't like are protected. Because your ideas are just as vile and offensive to somebody else. Now, racist sandwich shop owner, he will eventually as the sand shakes out through the sieve, he will eventually find himself only serving other racists. And everybody else will be going someplace else. What's more is that it will be obvious why. And his attitudes and his beliefs will be held up for public consideration and ridicule. And he will either change his mind about that and start prospering again, or he will refuse to change his mind and go down with his ship. And that's without any government interference whatsoever. But nobody thinks that far ahead. Their first thought is that these people are awful. Their second thought, as much as you can call it a thought rather than a knee-jerk reaction, is we need to do something. And their first resort is to pick up the government and use it like the crude bludgeon it is. And loose like a bull in a china shop. What more can be said? This is the legacy, and what has been the result? The result has been is that every minor group with a grudge has realized they can use this same coercion tactic anywhere they go to get whatever they want. This is why we have, bitch, make me a sandwich, you racist bastard, has turned into, you bigoted Christian bastard, make me a cake. Or else. The overwhelming irony is it's just staggering that nobody grasps the overwhelming irony of a entire race of former slaves insisting they have a right to force somebody else to serve them. Nobody is able to open their eyes and see that. And if we had just left it alone, it would have self-repaired. It would have been slower, and it wouldn't have generated as many dramatic speeches or marches on Washington or anything else. But the forces, the invisible hand of the market, would have corrected it, or at the very least, broken it down to where it was a minor issue rather than a socially devouring one. No, we meddled, and now every idiot in the country can pick up the government like a club, scream, "I'm offended," and start flailing in every direction. Another one of the little joys of fiat currency, the Vietnam War. Now, great. Every time we turn around, the government is declaring a police action. We've absolutely positively got to intervene in, and the only time they seem to balk at sending our troops abroad is when it's in the interests of this country. On the other hand, we've got it's just a mess. Nobody wants to see it that way. Vast majority of the problems that we deal with are the result of people meddling in the government to try and force things they should never even touch. You'll have to excuse me, I'm a little tired. Dang, my knees hurt. Sleep in a broken bed and wake up with my back and my legs hurting. Sit in a busted down chair. Was never built right in the first place, and in no time at all, my butt and knees are hurting. I don't need much. I just need to literally buy everything in my life from scratch. Scrap everything that I possess and buy remakes of everything. It's what was I thinking about? Feeling very tired at the moment. Not exactly been good. Bad chair, bad bed. Just trying to get a little bit of money set aside. If I can get a little bit more money set aside, I'm going to go ahead and buy a twin bed frame and a twin mattress and stick them here in my living room. That way I don't have to heat up or cool down the entire house, for one thing. For another thing, the roof in my bedroom is leaking. There's a spot about the size of my thumb where I can see daylight coming through. And, that's a couple $100 right there. Just, tallies up pretty quick. I need to hire a platoon of people to help me haul all the boxes of trash and stuff out of this place. Again. And, and the mowing guys start the 20th, I think, of April. Soap is water soluble, but leaves bar soap leaves a film, especially if it's got sort of additives like Jergens. Even Ivory soap, which is 99% pure, it leaves a film. And at the time, we were living in a church building that had a well. And mining all throughout West Virginia has screwed up the water tables all over the place. In that particular house, the water stank like sulfur. It stank of sulfur. I'm serious. You come out of the faucet, it fizzed coming out of the faucet. Smelled like Satan's butthole. And was full of iron and rust. We had to use Brita filters and a Brita jug to have anything to drink, and it's just, let me tell you, taking a shower was a real joy. Woof. Now stand under the shower head while the sulfurous pits from below the earth spray their fart water on you. Oh, man alive. Oh, those days. I don't know. Me am talk good now. Now that I've belched in your ear, he's such a disgusting slob. Okay, let's see. Window capture 2. Ding. I did a couple of character sketches. For those who don't know, I am a fan of My Hero Academia, or Boku no Hero Academia for you weeaboos. And I've written several fan fictions. I'm writing several fan fictions. And I redesigned the characters' costumes in the story. And I've been doing drawings of the characters and their and the remakes of their outfits. I posted these. I made a point. I used to have should I really post this picture everywhere? Should I post this on my, and nowadays when I draw something, it goes up everywhere. I don't care where. And one of the things in the story Coyote is that Coyote and Izuku is a lot more confident about his quirk analysis abilities, and one of the things he does, he's analyzed the costumes, the superhero suits that his classmates wear, and he's made suggestions and redesign suggestions for them. And radically, him and Coyote have, and I've been doing sketches of the various characters. This is Izuku himself. Most of his costume, though, the thing of it is that most of the costume he's wearing now, he designed when he didn't have a quirk. Now, for those who don't know, My Hero Academia is it's a anime about a world of superheroes. 80% of the population and rising have some sort of superpower. Usually it's twiddly, silly stuff like can make paper float, or or something like that. But the exceptional few, the ones who have really solid superpowers, or quirks as they're called, become superheroes. They train at superhero schools, and then get licenses to be superheroes. Well, Izuku, it seems, was born without a quirk. Is that he's one of the few remaining people in the world that do not have a natural superpower. Well, the story begins. The entire series begins with him running into the greatest hero of his age, All Might. And All Might, he performs an act of heroism in front of All Might that impresses All Might so much he offers to make Izuku his replacement. Basically, it turns out that All Might is actually very grievously injured, and he has been, running on fumes for a long, long time, and nobody knows it. And he's been looking for a replacement because, you see, he has a very unique quirk too. His quirk is called One for All, and it's a stockpiling quirk, a power stockpiling quirk that can be passed down from generation to generation. And it's been passed down. He is the 8th bearer of One for All. And he's been looking for bearer number 9 for several years now, and not had much luck. And then he stumbles across Izuku, and is so impressed he decides to make him his replacement. And he ends up training Izuku for about a year, and then gives him One for All, the power of One for All. The thing of it is that he is in the fan fiction, in the canon, in the original anime and manga. He's most of the story is his struggle to learn to control this massive power, because the first time he uses it full blast, it shatters the bones in his arms and legs. Fortunately, there's a healer there who patches him up, but his entire struggle has been, trying to get his body to catch up with this incredible power. And as he's going, he's uncovering more of the history of One for All, and some of its secrets, and so on and so forth. But in this one, in my version, in the original version, Izuku was very much a loner. He was, he was a quirkless kid. He was the only quirkless kid in his class or even in his school. So that 80% thing is a lot higher than it's registered. And he was bullied a lot. And so he was a social outcast. And that, and that affects everything after in the story afterwards, because All Might is literally the very first person. Not even his own mother believes he could have been a hero, and he's the first person to have told to have told Izuku, you too can be a hero. You've got the heart of a hero. And in my story, Coyote is an immigrant from the United States, and he is an anthropomorphic coyote. There are people like that in this world. Cat people, dog people, rabbit people. Some more so than others, but. Coyote doesn't have any real power at first. He's also an American. He's a foreigner, and people like that aren't exactly don't exactly fit in easily in Japanese culture. And he becomes Izuku's friend. Coyote, on the other hand, is he is a prankster and a practical joker, and he is wildly extroverted. And he and Izuku actually managed to fight off, by sheer accident, they managed to fight off the school bullies who were picking on Izuku the first time they meet. And they become fast friends from then on. And because of, the boy is named Coyote, the boy is named Riley Coyote. He's Native American, and his father is a punster. But because of Riley's influence, Izuku is a lot more confident, and he's a lot better prepared to become the next bearer of One for All when it happens. And among other things, Riley is the one that is constantly telling Izuku that he could still be a hero, because even if he doesn't have a quirk, he has what he calls Riley has what he calls a Batman super brain, because Izuku can just look at a hero in action or a villain in action and break down mentally how their power works, what kind of limitations they probably have, what they can do, what they can't do, what weaknesses their ability might have, and what equipment might work best with them. And anyway, he's basically he would have been Batman in any other world. Anyway, this is the costume that he and Izuku designed. In the original canon, Izuku has a costume he designed all by himself, and his mother made for him, and it's kind of sad. Let me see if it is. Let's see if I can find a picture of Izuku in his original costume. Izuku, his original costume. Here we go. And he tries to make it a tribute to All Might. All Might has this sticky up hair. He's always smiling, and he has this stick up hair. And so, well, fully on it. Just let me show it to you. You get the point. That's it, right there. He looks like a demented Easter bunny. Unfortunately, for the story I wrote, Riley managed to basically twist his arm to keep him from making that ridiculous-looking helmet. And basically, the thing of it is that his costume is outfitted because he basically figured he was going to have to be if he was going to be a hero, he's going to have to be a equipment-based superhero. So, he's going to have some troubles in the near future, because he's already having troubles as it is with making a costume that'll work with One for All. Because as strong as One for All makes him, the armor plating he's got cracked under the strain, just for starters. Anyway, I decided, I did up a drawing here of him, put all the details. I had a lot of people who were saying, "Oh, this is way too much. This is way too much gear for a superhero to carry. He'd have, and talking about how he'd be fumbling. People don't realize, for instance, if you've ever seen the loadout that a single police officer carries, or a member of a SWAT team, or a single fireman, or an EMT technician, an emergency medical technician, ambulance driver, and and so on and so forth. And the thing of it is that in Izuku's world, heroes basically are expected to serve all those roles depending on the circumstances. He's supposed to be going. He's supposed to be a fighter, like a soldier. He's supposed to be able to do search and rescue. He's supposed to be able to investigate crime scenes. He's supposed to, and so on and so forth. So he's going to be, any hero. This stuff he's carrying. This isn't you're more over prepared than Batman. This is okay. This is anything less than this and you're naked kind of preparation. And basically, I've just listed down here is like he's got a wraparound paintball style visor helmet. You know what's freaky? Okay, I came up with this item, so he's got a built-in. The visor is actually a built-in heads-up display. There are paintball helmets you can buy now that have heads-up displays in them. And I'm like, I was looking it up on the internet. I'm like, wait a minute, heads-up display? What? HUD? What? These people these people are hardcore about their paintball. To process it, a typical smartphone. The thing of it is, you could have all this equipment yourself. Most of this, nearly all of this stuff, in fact, all of it actually, is over the counter today. You could make yourself a working Izuku battle gear suit from stuff you could buy at at a phone shop, a sports store, and maybe an Army Navy surplus. High impact plates, shoulder plates, chest plate, abdominal plate, loose bodysuit, made of throw in some fancy material, Nomex, Kevlar, fireproof, stab-proof, bulletproof, slash-proof. Shoot, that's that. We live in the age they got Nomex, Kevlar. There are materials out there already that are superior to Kevlar. So, a stab-proof, slash-proof, bulletproof bodysuit is like basement level mandatory gear. It would have to be basement level mandatory gear for any superhero. He's got the helmet has a detachable smartphone built into it. He pops it in, it plugs in. And the smartphone and all its apps runs the heads-up display. Use a digital camcorder, infrared camera. In his case, he's got the features include internet, 911 hookup, GPS, facial recognition software, copies of all Izuku's quirk notes, and also the headphones, which also serve as ear protection. Now you can get headphones now. They're called Bose headphones. They're specially designed. They use white noise to muffle outside sound almost completely. And it wouldn't take much to modify that technology for ear protection from loud explosions and the like. Heads-up display, big green visor, big green bulletproof visor. He can put his he can display his GPS on there. And there's also I don't know if you remember the Power Glove. Well, there are sensors built into the fingertips of his gloves that let him type on thin air, so that he can use the notebook in the visor. The mouth guard is detachable, can be fitted with gas filters or a rebreather as needed. Air keyboard installed in gloves. He has a bandolier. One of the things is his power is super strength. And it isn't until like the 4th season that he comes up with a way to have a ranged attack. It basically consists of a glove that lets him flick bursts of air. And considering that he can flick bursts of air that can knock over buildings, that's pretty impressive. Anyway, but he starts out, he's got several throwing tools instead. He's got a set of kunai. Those are ninja knives. Cheap pot metal, but they're good as rough tools. He carries steel ball bearings about the size of a ping pong ball. Using all for one, even a fraction of all for one, he can, using one for all, he can even a fraction of it, he can punch through an engine block with one of them. He also, for a lesser effect, he also carries a satchel of hacky sacks. You know what a hacky sack is? But what he uses is basically their little tough leather bags filled with lead shot. Now you may have heard of these. They've got stun rounds out in the real world. They basically shoot beanbags out of a shotgun shell, and one of these things can knock a man off his feet. It's like being punched in the chest by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Boom. Well, he can throw them hard enough to lift a man off his feet barehanded. His utility belt includes a miniature first aid kit, a mini tool kit, a satchel with lead shot hacky sacks, another couple, a few other odds and ends, elbow pads, bracers, and tonfa, police batons, basically, with the handle on the side. You've seen them. For when a sucker just needs a beatdown. He also has things like, for instance, he has a lockpick set hidden inside his bracers, in case he ever needs them. And he also has, quote-unquote, brass knuckles, reinforced metal knuckles, in his gloves, for when a sucker needs a beatdown. Yeah. And a Bowie knife and sheath on one leg. He's basically prepared for serious crap. What's not on, in addition to the tonfa, he also has a collapsible police baton. They're thin little things that they look, like a wimpy little, a wimpy little stick with a knob on the end, but they're very nasty. They're a very nasty weapon. He's already confronting the problem that most of the tools he has for his current uniform are mostly stuff that he bought over the counter, and they're not tough enough. Most of them aren't tough enough to handle being used at the level of strength he has already. So that's going to be a story development in the future. Now, there's another character that I also did. This is Midnight. She markets herself as the R-rated superheroine. It depends on the translation. Sometimes it's called the X-rated superheroine, the PG-13 rated superheroine. You get the idea. Yeah. But anyway, Miss Midnight, she a super freak. But but beside that, I made a running gag in one of the early chapters where Riley was ogling a calendar featuring her and pointing out that it looks hot, but boy is it unpractical. You see, Miss Midnight's power is that she can emit a sort of purple mist from her skin, and this mist will knock people out almost instantly. The thing of it is, she can turn it on and she can turn it off, obviously, but she can't control it. She can't control which direction it goes. She can't control the amount that comes out. So she's basically a human gas bomb. And her solution was to make her costume, the white areas on her costume are form-fitting costume, are tearaway cloth. and she can. That's how she controls it. She tears away she rips away a strip of cloth from her costume to let some of the gas the mist she's creating out. And she points out, and in the latest chapter, Izuku, Riley, and Mineta team up to make her a new costume. Oh, wait a minute! Let me show you this. This is her original costume. High heels. And basically, it looks like she wandered into the bondage fetish section of the shop, started getting dressed, forgot what she was doing, and said, heck with it, I'm late anyway, and ran off. Because, well, anyway, I did a redesign. Here it is. Most of the things, the visor, the goggles, again, a heads-up display connected to a removable smartphone, and also several utilities. In the story, the support class that designs all the gear and makes it have started referring to the visor smartphone utility belt combo as the Midoriya loadout, and they're using it as a standard loadout for everybody because it's so useful. Again, her hair's been done up into a big bun behind her head, rather than let it hang loose. First of all, it gives her the naughty school teacher look, and second of all, it keeps her hair out of reach of grabby hands. Having a long ponytail, long hair, and going into combat, that's just asking for somebody to grab your hair and just yank and snap your neck. Well, anyway, hair bun. The chopsticks through her hair are actually hollow throwing darts. The cat eye horn rim spectacle. The goggles are bubble goggles, and they're connected. They're again a heads-up display visor. Connected to a smartphone with oodles of gimmicks. The bridge of the goggle, the black space in between, right there, that's where the lens for the minicam and infrared camera. The mesh, the fishnet portions of her costume. It's actually a full body suit. It's a slash-proof mesh weave under translucent flesh tone silk. It serves a double purpose, though. The leather portions are, the standard Nomex Pyrex Kevlar type, making them fireproof, slash-proof, bulletproof. I left her midriff, a little bit bare because otherwise she wouldn't be able to twist or bend at the waist, and her combat style sort of requires her to be flexible. The real, the bullwhip is actually a taser. In order to get around the problem with her power, with her quirk, the mesh is also serves a double. It's not only a protective weave; it also wicks Midnight's knockout gas. With a little pressure pump on the belt, it wicks it down to these little canisters stored on her belt, and back from the canisters, it goes out to pipettes on the back of her wrist. She can now shoot the gas as a thin stream out for 20 or 30 feet. So instead of having to gas an entire area, she can pick out one or two targets. Or she can pull the pressurized canisters off and use them as room-clearing grenades. I do this sort of thing. I'm a nerd. Nerd alert. I do nothing but think about the comics and the characters and the costumes and, this is me. I figure I'm probably going to end up doing a sketch of all the characters because I literally changed everybody's costume just a little bit in certain ways, It's my thing. It's my thing. It's a thing I do. So there. Anyway. Now, is there anybody out there? Nobody said anything in, let's see, too long. Nobody said anything since the talk about soap. Remember soap, kids? We used to use that before we started dipping ourselves in vats of sanitary gel. Could somebody say something? Please, somebody say something. Pretend that you can hear me. Pity peas? So Ronry. I started this at about 12:30. It's about 2 now. It's too much! This is what I love about My Hero Academia, the hypocrisy. The fandom in particular, the hypocrisy, okay? Okay, let's see here. Now, let's see here. Manita. This is Manita Minoru, or Minoru Manita. I'm never sure with Japanese names. But this is Manita. He goes by the heroic name of Grape Juice. And the thing of it is, he's little, he's runty. His power consists of pulling those orbs off his head. They're apparently, and they'll stick to anything but him. And he can generate dozens of them, just... He calls it the power pop. He calls the quirk pop off. And he uses them to, that's it. That's his power. And he managed to get into... He managed to get into UA. He's also one of the smartest students in the class academically. But he's also the class pervert. And he has the tragic misfortune of being a perv character. The classic joke perv character created in a time where in a day and age where everybody's a precious snowflake and they're so traumatized by it, And everybody has made a hobby, every fan almost has made a hobby out of hating him. he does a few pervy things in the show, but he's more to be pitied than anything. And I've tried. I've written a couple of the stories I've written. He's trying for a redemption. Well, not a redemption. I'm trying to salvage the character. What I love about this is that he's no more pervy than Miss Midnight. In fact, he's a lot less pervy than Miss Midnight. But he is to be hated and despised, and spend your time for your daily 30 seconds hate. And people are always talking, and you've got all these SJWs on the forums. Oh, his character just triggers me. Oh, I'm so traumatized by him. And he's, ew, icky poo, boo hoo. I'm like, oh man, just grow some hairs. The character in question, he makes crude, lewd comics, but well, basically, I've worked with teenage boys. He's nothing special. Let's put it that way. But really, though, okay, let's tick it off. He's a kid, and we've seen how Izuku is treated. Izuku is a nice kid, but he's quirkless in a world where everybody has a quirk, no matter how ridiculous. Where just about everybody has a quirk, and Manita is a kid. Which would be worse, to have no quirk or to have a joke quirk? He's also a dwarf. He's literally the shortest kid in class. He's basically a midget, and it doesn't look like he's going to get much taller anytime soon. He's a runt midget with a joke power that is kind of disturbing and gross in and of itself. So you can imagine what his childhood was like. He was probably abused and bullied on the level that Izuku was. And the reason he's becoming a superhero is because he figures that's the only, it's his only shot at making girls like him. And the hypocrisy of it is that he lives in a world, everybody, he constantly gets smacked down for his pervy comments and such, but he lives in a world with Midnight, a professional and she's not the only, a professional superhero who flaunts her goodies in the camera to boost her career, and that's perfectly acceptable. But if he so much as makes a comment about it, somebody reaches over and smacks him upside the head. I kind of feel for this kid. Nothing worse in the world than to be the mark of the critical target of social justice snowflakes. Now, and looking at the way he talks and the way he behaves and acts around, I'm going to go out on a limb here. And the way he talks, the way he behaves, and the way that looks and powers seem to be inherited in the My Hero Academia universe. Okay, I'm going to paint this picture. Okay, picture this: his father. Probably, not a very attractive man. Just middle of the road kind of guy. He's got. I'm going to suspect that Minoru comes from a broken home. I figure that his father. My headcanon is that his father is an anime artist, and that not a very not a spectacularly attractive man. And I'm going to guess that he has some sort of hair-related power, like Mineta does. The idea I'm going with is that his father has ink hair. They can pluck plumes of hair off his head and use them as ink brushes, complete with ink. And he's a popular anime and manga artist who got married, and the woman turned around and decided to go play Eat, Pray, Love, and abandoned him and Manita when Manita was very young. Well, Manita, even in the comics, Manita's only 14 years old. You got to figure he had to have been pretty young when his mom left. And at his father, and she probably took him for his father straight to the cleaners too. And that's going on how every divorce goes these days. The divorces are so-called no fault anymore, but it's no fault is just another way of saying still the man's fault. And they go into a no fault divorce. They come out. The woman will have everything the man had. Have just stripped away everything and left him with nothing but the dregs. So I'm figuring, I'm looking, and I've seen how kids act who come out of these homes where mom backstabbed dad and walked out on them. I'm thinking Manita, his mom walked out on them when he was very young, and left him with left both him and his father with a very bad general impression of women. I'm also going to guess that his father, this is the story idea I'm going with, is that Minoru's father, Manita's father, was a artist, a manga artist. It's a respectable career in Japan. And when his wife left and took all the money that he had to resort to doing hentai to pay the bills. Which, could not have been good for Manita's formative years, him toddling around seeing ecchi pinups hanging up all over the art rooms, And, that's just my head case. That's just my head space. But I can't picture him coming, a kid like this, as messed up as he is, I can't picture him coming from a wholesome, solid family background. You know what I'm saying? I'm going what statistically is most likely. Considering that most marriages end in divorce, most divorces are filed by the women. The women are given most everything, even when the woman is at fault for the divorce. I've figured that has got to be pivotal in how he turned out as a person and a character. Is there anybody out there? Would somebody talk? I see 2 concurrent viewers. Would one of you speak? Please. Now, here's a really good question. Would you still hate Manita if he was female? Look at that. Not very many changes in the character's design, but people's attitude would be all over the map about that. She would be, if Manita was Minori Manita instead of Minoru, I bet she could be just as pervy, just as just as creepy, and just as flawed a person as the original, but there would be fans all over the place. Oh, my waifu! In case you haven't guessed, there's a certain, I don't know. I suppose am I bitter? Am I cynical? I don't know what the correct term is for it. Would you still hate Manita if he was female? We've got there double standards all over the place. It'd be a radically different character, though. You could, he would be regarded radically different. Even I would regard him radically different if he was a she. That says something sad about us as people. It says something, and I'm not sure how to process it, how to package it. That's a pretty provocative question when you push it. I need to do more. I need to do more. Like I said, I'm probably going to end up doing sketches of all the. I don't know how many characters I'll end up sketching, but I'll probably end up sketching them all, as many as I can. And if I got any clever ideas. Is there anybody out there? Is there anybody listening? Is there anybody talking? Is there anybody, complaining? Is there somebody out there complaining to YouTube management because of me? I'll have to try harder if not. One is the loneliest number that you ever knew. Two is almost as lonely, but that's just as much as one. And I don't know the rest of the song because it's stupid. Can you feel the love tonight? There's nobody out there. There's nobody listening. I am at a loss as to what to do. I really am. Should I put out another announcement? Hey, get back in here! Maybe I should shut down and restart later this evening. I know you're out there. You're in quarantine. You can't escape. Well, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here watching the. Ooh, look at the pretty sparkles. And I'm not doing anything. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not communicating. I'm not making. I am not reaching out into the void. I'm not making an effort to reach out into the void for the lost souls out there. And I don't know I don't know who I'm imitating. Possibly a televangelist or Dudley Do-Right. I'm at a loss. Hello, we got two people in channel. Talk! And they left. That's no fun. You people are no fun. Why? What a nice lady! I really don't want to hear my own voice doing this. I really don't. Because it sounds so different inside my own. And it's an interesting thing. They did a study. They actually did some more research into that whole "why do you hate the sound of your voice" thing. And it's not just because it sounds different, coming from inside than from outside. There is a difference. When you hear a recording of your voice, you're not hearing the vibrations that come up through the inside of the skull and through the ear bones and all that. So it sounds different. The thing of it is that what sets us off isn't the fact that it sounds different, is that it sounds so similar. It sounds, uncanny valley thing. It sounds just similar enough to our own voice that we sort of go, that's not right. Well, to be fair, if you were alone in a house and you said something, oh, hello, and somebody else came back with your voice, hello. There you go. We are, but what I was talking about earlier about Manita. Okay, Kaminari, another kid in the class who is he's more handsome looking. He's more normal looking in particular. He's almost as big a pervert as he's a typical teenage boy rather. And he's like Manita. Manita's a particularly crass teenage boy, but he's I hate the fact that he used the term pervert. I'm sorry, a pervert is somebody with abnormal, deviant sexual desires, as in, not, mainstream. But a teenage boy who likes girls and boobies and legs and butts and all the great girl parts that come with girls. That's not perverted. That's normal. That's normal sexual. If he was lusting after, I don't know, bicycles with the same, that would be perverted. If he was, and let's say if he was lusting after guys in the same, that would be perverted, because it would be abnormal. It would be aberrant from the norm. And yes, heterosexuality is the norm. It is the main. It's the center. It's the dead center. It's the norm. Everything else is a variation, is a deviation from it. Deal with it. If that makes you mad or makes you cry, well, good. It probably should. If you can't deal with the truth, don't. The truth is hate to those that hate the truth. There's a website. It's called the Archive of Hate, and they list something like several hundred, 500, I think, facts. Scientifically confirmed facts, as in we measured it and double measured it and tested it and did all this research, and this is stuff straight from the scientific table. That cannot be said in public because they transgress the narrative, the social justice narrative. The list of facts would saying them out loud makes you duck your head and look around to make sure that nobody is in earshot. That's how shocking the facts are. Things like the rate of inbreeding and genetic defects, inbreeding related genetic defects among the Islamic and Arab population worldwide. The percentage of people in, say, the percentage of Muslims in Egypt, 87%, who approved of Al Qaeda's actions. They try and soft soap it by saying, they added the caveat that they shouldn't be doing these things to innocent civilians. The problem is that taqiyya, according to Islam, anybody who is a heretic is not innocent. They don't believe in innocent bystanders. So double speak, forked tongue. And they also this site of hate, it lists facts about the homosexual community, the rate of venereal disease in the community, the rate of infidelity in the community, the average percentage of partners that the average homosexual has, and all these ugly facts that if just cold numbers that if you stated them. If you state them anywhere in public, howls of outrage will fall down from the skies on you. And there's an old saying, though the truth is hate to those that hate the truth. The facts do not meet their narrative, and so rather than try and refute them, which they cannot, they scream and rage and shriek like an enraged baby who's been told it can't have a candy. Hello, it's YouTuber. It's Eli and T-Mug. Hello, Eli and T-Mug. I was showing off some of my art earlier. You were not here to see it. I am so sorry. I am tempted to show it to you again, but that would be backtracking, and I have already spent 2 hours talking in circles. Library of Hate. 700 hate facts that are sourced. The Library of Hate. This is what it's called. If this doesn't get me deplatformed, I don't know what will. It's called the Library of Hate. Look it up. You better believe Google's going to try and hide the frack out of it. They say, you can get the Library of Hate redacted. Hate crimes in the thought crime. You see, this is how you do it. If you can't, look, this is the reason that freedom of speech has to exist for everybody you don't like. This is what puts me at loggerheads with my father at certain points, because they ought to ban this, they ought to ban that, and he can't quite seem to grasp the idea that if we give the people the power to ban the things that he doesn't like, tomorrow they'll be banning the things he approves of. We watched Fahrenheit 451, and they got to the part where they were burning down the hidden library, and they started reading off some of the titles of the books and showing pictures of the titles of the books. And he's sitting there. He just sat there and watched a whole movie about how censorship becomes a tool for destroying all knowledge. And he's like, well, all those books needed to be burned anyway. I wanted to stand up, applaud, and hand him a trophy for the did not get a point marathon. Okay, let's see here. Now this is some really a few random facts about the LGBT. This is what gets me, is that they keep expanding the number of letters in this LGBT thing. because it turns out every time they turn around, the actual population of their special snowflake group is smaller, so they have to go out and enlarge the tent, as it were. Put the transsexuals and the transvestites and the transams, whatever, all. I'm Knight Rider and I'm a Trans Am. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's start with this. These are these are sourced. Okay. And if you think that they're not sourced, if you think if you want to stand there, if you want to stand there going citation needed, rather you just get off your lazy ass and look it up yourself. You're sitting on the internet. The single largest aggregate supply of human knowledge ever made. If you are ignorant of a fact, it's nobody's fault. Other people may obstruct your efforts to get it, but if you don't look, that's nobody's fault but your own. All right, let's start with some of the hate facts about the LGBTQ community. Between 73 and 90% of lesbians report being psychologically abused by their partners. Gay men are 60 times more likely to have HIV than straight men. And everybody on the planet is going, duh. 1/4 of gay men in America have had over, you're not going to believe this, 43% of gay men have had over 500 partners. And 25% of gay men in America have had over 1,000. The first time I heard that, I'm like, they got this from the gay people. They asked them, how many partners have you had? And I'm like, suppose they spend, from the time they turn 20 to the time they die. Let's say they have 10. I'm getting tired just thinking about it. 1,000 partners? And, I'm wondering, even over 100 years, that's 10 partners a year. I mean, their butthole must, when the wind blows, their butthole must go. How? Well, when you don't care who you're sleeping with, that's who or what you're sleeping with, away you go, 1 in 8 gay men in London has HIV. And this is scary. Have you ever heard of bug chasers? There are people out there who deliberately sleep with people with HIV because they believe it, they're called bug chasers. They believe that getting HIV would complete their homosexuality. What the hoodly ho? Yeah, hear what I was saying. 1/4 of gay men in America have had over 1,000 sex partners. I can't imagine even having the time. 79% of homosexual men say over half of their sex partners are strangers. So that's, this is how they manage, Ding, next please. Hi! Okay, gay men who are 1.65% of the U.S. population. Even less than they claim. They're only 10% of the people in the United States are gay. No, they're not. 1.65. Gay men who are 1.65% of the U.S. population account for 63% of the country's syphilis cases. In 2010, homosexuals were about 200 times more likely than anyone else to be diagnosed with HIV. Duh! The whole world says. Gay men are 15 times more likely to have hepatitis B. Duh! Again, the world says. Well, you mean people who have 1,000 sex partners in the course of their life are more liable to have horrible diseases? What a shocker! Also, homosexuals are more likely than straight people to have anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, and to commit suicide. 40 to 60% of serial killers were homosexuals. Hello, beep beep, what the heck? Monogamy is not a central feature of most homosexual relationships. Married homosexual men are 50% more likely than straight couples to divorce. And we've already got a 1 in 5 divorce rate among the straights. What is, mayday, mayday. In the Netherlands, the average homosexual in a steady relationship has a 7 to 8 affairs per year. The average gay man has several dozen sex partners per year. Well, yeah, with the thing with 1,000 partners, you got to figure at least a dozen a year. They wouldn't live long enough otherwise. Active homosexual men are 17 times more likely than straight people to have anal cancer. The butt cancer. Now, how you can, this is just one. He died of cancer. What cancer? Butt cancer. This just no way. It's just God save us from the butt cancer. It's just, and you thought dying with AIDS was bad. Oh yeah. Butt tumors that metastasized. The butt cancer. That sounds more ridiculous the more I say it, and that's why I'm saying it so often. Okay. 41% of transsexuals have tried and failed to commit suicide. Post-op. 53% of the mothers of transsexual children have borderline personality disorder. Look, if you've got a transsexual child, that's like having a vegan cat. We all know who's making the lifestyle choices here. Little boy comes up out of school and says, I'm actually a girl now, la-di-da-di-da. You don't have to look far to find the crazy person in charge. 27% of male to female transsexuals test positive for HIV. Only 12% report it. Worldwide, male to female transsexuals are 50 times more likely to have HIV than normal people. Those are just the random hate facts about the LGBT, BBQ, WTF, XYZ community. Source, https archive.is/RLE05. RLE05, I think. Read it, yeah, 05. Facts about Arab and Islam, statistics about race, statistics about gender, statistics about diversity, ethnicism, intelligence, and so on and so forth. Well, this entire page here. This is okay. Whoever posted, this is an archive that is being just some seriously nasty title here, but everything has a link to various scientific journals, health journals, international journals. Okay, in the Muslim world, cousin marriage in the Arab world ranges from 8% in Morocco to 44% in Saudi Arabia. Arab Christians have lower rates of inbreeding than Arab Muslims. Well, frickin' duh. It's kind of forbidden. 25% of Egyptians support suicide bombings. 36% of Muslims believe 9/11 was partially or wholly justified. Arab countries have the highest rates of inbreeding in the world. 30% of Iraqis marry their cousins. 62% of Palestinians support the use of suicide bombings. When it's and it just boom, 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 down the list. 1 in 3 Muslims favorably view Hamas, a terrorist organization. 1 in 9 has a positive view of ISIS. Muslim countries produce so few patents that their contributions worldwide are invisible. The average Muslim nation produces less than 1/10 as much scientific research as a non-Muslim nation. Blah, 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 blah. 1 in 3 Jordanian youth agree with honor killings. And just on and on and on. Islam is a effed up. 62% of Canadian Muslims want Sharia law. Oh, Canada. Did I offend you? Good, thank you. I've been waiting for that. And this goes on for quite some ways here. Let's see here. Let's find a more interesting subject. Let's see. Gender. Yay. No, these aren't linked. You have to scan down through all the links. Let's see. Race. Which is first, race or gender? Race, general. Okay, let's go to race. Blah, 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 blah. These are statistics. These are numbers. These are facts that are accumulated by the people. The word hostile witness comes to mind. This is stuff from like the BBC and crap. Okay? Discover Magazine. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, skipping over the stuff about human evolution. Immigration has reduced the average skill level of Americans. 54% of college-educated immigrants in America are not proficient in literacy. Oh, well, this is not a surprise to me. Most kids that are coming out of high school, period, are not coming out competently literate. This is a statistic claiming that race is a better predictor of crime than poverty. I've heard statistics stating both ways, so everybody be. And it just goes on about marriage rates, successful marriage statistics. I love this. Men with high testosterone who are also more attractive are also more likely to be racist. Of course, let's be fair. Anything just about anything can be called racist now. It's the 21st century equivalent of duty head. So, having an opinion, just saying that you like if you say you like white women look versus how black women look, or you like Asian women versus how white women, that makes you racist. You're not even allowed to have personal taste in appearance. So the more attractive you are, the more likely you are to be choosy, is what I figure it means. When you're ugly, you're going to go, it's female and it wants me? But of 30 of the most deadly mass shootings in America, 9 non-whites committed 36% of them. Most students accused of sexual assault on college campuses are non-white. White men, pound for pound, are stronger than black or Hispanic men. This is from www.biomedcentral.com. It doesn't surprise me. Look, nobody would be surprised if you said black men were better at basketball. So, some prick in the back would be going, "That's racist!" No, it's factual. There's a reason you don't see all that many white men in the NBA. I understand. They've also determined that people of African descent tend to be faster runners. Not to be flippant or trite, but the slow ones got eaten. You live in a country with lions, you're gonna get pretty quick. You're gonna be very good at climbing trees too. That's not just that's not racist. That's realism. 90% of gang members are non-white. Non-Jewish whites are the most underrepresented group in top colleges. The Western aesthetic of big eyes and pale skin is universally considered appealing. Well, that you can blame on marketing, I suppose. I don't know. There are more significant artistic figures from the West than from the rest of the world combined. Again, art is a matter of a lot of taste issues. And to be fair, the Western, Europe, European countries, they sort of had a head start. And if you have a bunch of museums that are full of Western European artists, what a surprise that there aren't very many non-Western European artists in it. So. But these are all just basic statistics. These aren't, one way or the other. They're just supposed to be basic facts. Cause and effect, causality. That's another question. Correlation. That's another question. But you're just stating these unvarnished statistics will get you labeled a hate monger. %48 of African Americans have herpes simplex virus. 48%? Gonorrhea rates are 30 times higher in African Americans than whites. Police hesitate longer to shoot black suspects than white suspects, and we all know why that is. Over 100 white women are raped or sexually assaulted by black men every day in the United States. I would like to know the comparison, other statistics. That's from Front Page Magazine. Blacks, again, are overrepresented in serial killings, and this overrepresentation is increasing. These are all just, the blacks are inferior races. These are statements of statistics and facts as they stand. Now, are they caused by heredity? Are they caused by environment? Are they caused by society? That's the debate that, these are the debates that we cannot answer unless we are willing to even say the facts. If you are unwilling to state the fact that, for instance, 39% of cop killers are black, even where blacks are only 12% of the population, if you're unwilling to state that cold fact, you are not going to be able to solve the problem. Because you're not willing to admit the problem exists. Because the implications make you uncomfortable. You're not going to be able to find out the truth, whether the implications are true or not, or whether they're the exact opposite, unless you go in and work on it. 73% of black babies are born out of wedlock. Back before the civil rights movement, that was unheard of. Before the Democrats hopped on board and decided, before the welfare movement, The civil rights movement was not responsible for this, but I'm saying that during the civil rights movement and prior, all black people had was family, and it was cast iron. You can see the remains of that in black culture today. This is why Medea's family. It's a tossback to the days when family was everything. But nowadays, 73% of black babies are born out of wedlock. Why? Because the government subsidizes it. The black and white IQ gap in America is equal to the gap in South Africa, even though South Africa is ruled by blacks. 93% of black men who are murdered are killed by other black men. That's only reasonable. If most people tend to hang out with those of their own kind, those they have a relationship with, those they have something in common with. Whether you're talking race, gender, race, culture, workspace, living space. So, most white people, on average, most white people are going to be murdered by other white people because, they live around lots of white people. Most black people are going to be murdered by black people because they live around most black people. And, that's sort of like saying most people are attacked by sharks were in the water at the time. But still, these are again facts you can't say out loud. Let's move on to gender here, where it just goes on forever. My word. More about homosexuals. Let's see. Men. Liberal men are more willing to date non-whites. Well, duh. Less masculine men are more prone to violence. It's sort of like the difference between a Rottweiler and a Chihuahua. Rottweiler ain't got nothing to prove. That little Chihuahua is like, I kill you and your whole family. Ay. Less masculine man, is going to be more aggressive to cover up. This is true. You take Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant was a good example. Every now and then somebody would get unbelievably drunk and try and hassle him. It did not go well for them. But he would be like, he'd just pat them on the head and drive them up to the ground in their knees in the ground, and say, "Just be on your way. We're not going to fight today." And Haas, the big guy from from Bonanza, the big guy. People were always trying to pick fights with him, and he just no. He could walk away. And then there's statistic here. Men run larger, more innovative, and more growth-oriented enterprises than their female counterparts. Men. Here's a sad one. Men are 3 times more effective at committing suicide than women. Oh, yay us. This attractiveness. Women with low waist-to-hip ratios produce smarter children. Blind men have statistically identical body standards as sighted men. Now, I have got to wonder how they tested that. I really got to... Okay, sir, we've confirmed that you're blind. Now, stand over here and reach straight out in front of you. Feel those? Okay, you'll be moving down a row and be testing each of these, and stop when you find the size that you prefer. Blind guy's like, God bless America. Well, seriously, how else would you do it? What is he supposed to use sonar to measure her features? Attractive and successful women are more likely to be heterosexual. Didn't need to tell you that. The myth of the hot, sexy lesbian never dies, but no matter how brutally the sight of an actual lesbian couple kills it. They say attractiveness is this. I don't know how they determine this. It's about 80% shared and 20% in the eye of the beholder. Well, to be fair, it's social issues, but there is a biological basis in a portion of the brain for objective beauty. HTTP journals, PLOS.org, plus only. There's a link. The Library of Hate. Just Google it. I'm not going to tell you where it is. Because whoever posted it, where this is where I found it. I'm sure it's elsewhere. More diverse neighborhoods have lower social cohesion. Diversity increases psychotic experiences. A lot of these are very, a lot of these I have to say are just more vague statistics, about, social happiness, social cohesion, things that are a little more difficult to objectively measure. Diversity correlates with low GDP. Now, that's something you could statistically measure, gross domestic product. Babies demonstrate ethnocentrism before exposure to non-whites. In other words, white babies tend to be attracted to, they tend to move towards white people. That doesn't make babies racist. It just means that they go with what's familiar. But you can't even say this out loud, and people just, Human intelligence is highly inheritable. Scientific consensus is that IQ tests are not racially biased. Very poor whites tend to be about as intelligent as very, very wealthy blacks, which explains nothing. The average African American IQ is 85. The average white IQ is 100. Genes for large brains linked to high IQ are common everywhere except Africa. IQ scores are the best predictor of success in Western society. If so, then why are there so many people who are, why are there so many successful black people and poor white people with the same IQ? Explain this, Well, of course, that's the point. That's the point of having all these facts listed. All these statistics and information that they've aggregated and collected. The reason for having them posted is say, explain this. These are the statistics that have actually come in. Explain this. Explain, do some more research. Your theory does not match the statistical facts that have come in. You need to do more research. That's the basis of scientific study. But not in a society that relies on political correctness to decide what facts will be even spoken of. You can find this thing, the Library of Hate on WordPress. Here we go. Copy. Let me post it. Just just don't just accept the word of the post for it. Don't just accept the word for it. Research. Look up the references. Look up the references to the references. Test, try, study, research. You get what I'm saying? You can't know the truth if you don't want to speak of the facts. When 75% of black babies in America are born out of wedlock, the next question should be why. The next question should not be, is this too racist to say? If it's the truth, it's the truth. Ugly, brutal, cruel, painful, and horrible as it may seem. The truth needs to be preserved in all its terrible beauty. This is one of the things that made me so incredibly angry about J.K. Rowling's version of Dumbledore, her character Dumbledore, because he's quoted as saying the truth is a terrible thing and should be handled very, very carefully. No, it shouldn't be. It should not be handled carefully. The truth should be thrown around like rice on wedding day. The facts should never be hidden, should never be obscured, should never be subjected to somebody being discreet. This is why the devil is called the father of lies. Because deceit, ignorance, and misinformation are his bread and butter. So long as people are afraid to speak the truth, we can never learn from the truth. We can never grow from the truth. We can never change the facts that are terrible. We can never change things like the number of children being born out of wedlock, or the number of people being killed by their own neighbors. If the world is going to change, we have to know the world as it is. No matter how many ugly warts and how many facts. But if I tell them this, I'll lose the Academy Award. Get out of my way. Go figure out where you lost your testicles years ago. They've used the words hate speech to allow themselves to plug their ears. They don't even have to they don't have to prove anything. They just have to call it hate speech, and they can ignore everything they're told. Until it falls on their own head, and that's the end. The world. Why are stupid people in charge? Why are stupid people in charge? Because stupidity and wickedness are almost indistinguishable. Nothing caters to the desires of wickedness quite like willful ignorance. The wicked will always encourage ignorance wherever they can. It's a quote from Black Beauty, of all things. One of the boys that the boy and one of the stable boys hadn't put Black Beauty up properly, and instead of putting a blanket over him, and just left him sitting out there with cold water to drink, and the poor horse had fallen down sick, because you're supposed to put a blanket over them after running. And well, I don't know all that much about horses, but the kid had done the wrong thing, and the poor horse fell down sick, and He was standing out there. The master of the stable was standing, and the boy said, "I'm sorry, it was just ignorance." And the guy exploded, and he said, "Ignorance and wickedness, and it's only God's own guess as to which has caused more suffering in the world." I say this, that ignorance is the tool of wickedness. This is why they try to have any unpleasant fact labeled as hate, so that nobody feels obligated to listen to it. As long as nobody's listening to it, nobody can change it. All the more fools. Wicked people are stupid. They think that wicked people think that somehow that they can collapse all of society and they'll still be left standing. That's why you see all these traitors in Congress. This is why you see politicians doing things that on the daftest fool can see are harmful and self-destructive and will backfire monstrously in little to no time. This is why they're doing it. Because they think that they are above consequences. More the fool them. They are not going to be able to outrun the blast wave. Oh. Okay, it is 3 o'clock. I'm debating on whether to continue or to shut down and pick back up later on this evening, maybe early tomorrow morning. I've really pretty much, hit everything I can hit for now. Do a full art session next time I do the show. Okay. All right. It has been a nice long show. It's been about just under 3 hours. I'd like to say thank you all for everybody for showing up, all 2 of you. I will see you all. Well, I'll put up the notice on YouTube and on Facebook and Twitter and whatever. Either later tonight or tomorrow morning. And we'll go from there. Thank you all for watching. Catch you all later. God bless you all.